Okay. Why is it that black men are the only men who don't believe that they live in the same society as everyone else? Like why do they get to be exempt while we all have to actively participate? Just answer me that. So I was just watching a video by the Saint guy where he's talking about how some black women I guess went into some group chat with white supremacists and were like, we need to eradicate the black men. And he was like listening to this and he's responding to it, and obviously he's upset about it and he's critiquing it. I mean, yeah, to have that sentiment is crazy, but also to not understand where it comes from is also crazy. That's the part that I want to talk about. He was talking about he's fully aware that some of these women probably were abused, that they were probably abused by black men, that they had trauma in their lives. And I feel like this is a part of I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there are some women who will come online and they'll try to explain how you aren't gonna understand. I'm sorry, the cat just fell behind the couch and it's kind of funny. You're not gonna understand society by simply observing what other people do. Like you have to live in society, and that's how you're going to understand it. I don't think everyone thinks that that's the case, which I do think is strange. Like, what I'm saying is sometimes people are looking at these stories of other people that they hear online and then they're watching the situation play out. Like when I was talking about the issue with that Alyssa girl who was a YouTuber and then she went broke or something and then she reaches out to her dad and her dad's like, fuck you, I'm not helping you. And I was very critical of that. I was like, black fathers don't care about their children. And I've come across a guy recently. He's a surgeon and very interesting guy. We're going to talk about him a little bit more. But he was posting things that are a little bit triggering to me because they're I really do, it's giving black brunch club, which obviously I have a serious disdain for. Okay, stop attacking the other cat. Michael, stop it. Stop it. Um Yeah, so he posted something the other day which was like, "Oh, I'm such a proud uncle because his niece or something is going into some biomedical program." Here's my issue, it's the talented 10th myth where let's say if I have $10, right? And then as a black person, I have $10 and then I use $5 to invest in myself. Maybe I buy a bus ticket, I buy, I don't know, a $2 sandwich wrap for my lunch, and I spend I then give one quarter to a little black kid who is hungry, and then I save the rest of the $2 for my little cousin who wanted a popsicle or something. Okay, so maybe I help two people, right? But obviously, if the entire rest of the black community has $0 and then I had $10, relatively, I didn't actually do much good. I didn't actually solve much at all. I didn't actually really help very many people, right? I honestly could have done more with the money that I had in order to make some difference. Like maybe just putting out a flyer or something in my community and a few other communities. Maybe if I went to the library, right, and made 100 flyers that were free or a dollar or something and put them up, which was maybe a resource and information guide to where other black families could go and get free food. That might have helped a lot more people than buying the one sandwich wrap for the individual. That's kind of how community works. And you'll see this a lot in the Jewish community where they always tend to look out for each other. The black community doesn't do this at all. Now, the saint starts to make the point about the black abortion rates. The thing that always just makes me so upset about the black abortion rates is no one cares about the children once they're born, and they just expect the black women to continue to suffer. And I am tired of watching. I personally, as a black woman who cares about self autonomy, I care about preserving and protecting myself, first of all, and then thriving as me, secondly. So that requires a level of security, and in my own personal lived experience, a lot of that security has been a way for I've had to learn how to protect myself from black men, black male family members, my brother, other black males that I've been in relationships with, other black males who have stalked me on the internet. Like there's a plethora, like groups. I think at one time there was a targeted hate campaign from one of the fraternity clubs against me, which is very strange because I've never had any relationships or affiliation in any way with any fraternity. So I thought that was very weird. I was like, huh, I don't even know how I got on that radar when I don't participate in the community. So I don't know. Anyway, but I do think like we're getting to a place where so many populations, especially like immigrant populations, like I see this a lot in the Habesha community, where like for instance there was a hanging, so like a 19-year-old Latino kid was hung outside of a police department. I think this is like 2 days ago. This is a big news, and a lot of the African journalists I follow, they're all covering this because obviously the hanging of black people is very commonplace in America. Another really big issue has been is it about it's 300,000 acres of concentration camp ground is being built in Georgia, and I believe in Houston it's another 100,000 acres of data center property is being built, and because of that it's polluting the water population in a predominantly black area, and so people are losing their water supplies. They're going to be forced to sell their homes. There's a movie with Julia Roberts that's actually about this, so that is actually playing out in real life right now. I just think that's interesting. So like all of these things, and let's go back to that concentration camp situation for a moment. The big idea there, and Shayna covered this, is like instead of actually deporting people now, the point is to make forced detention camps. So with the new laws that they have in place, it's going to like strip a lot of people of their citizenship. They're not going to deport them. They're just going to send them to the concentration camps where they're going to basically be imprisoned for the rest of their lives. And so they can't even go back to their home country. They're simply going to be like free labor for America. I think that with all and the other thing I've been thinking about and over the last week I would say is this idea of it's the birthright citizenship conversation, but that in terms of the war. I really do think that the anchor baby scam was just that, a scam. But the irony is, all of the people who, adopted the narrative of like sort of the anchor babiness of it all, their children are actually going to fight for the country for the first time because they're going to be deployed unwillingly to war, which is like a strange turn of events. Like I wouldn't have seen that coming, and then here we are, you know? It's a weird it's a weird situation. Um I don't know, but let's go back to this conversation about the men though, because I do feel like in every other community, if you just look at how things are operating, the way that, the men talk about their women and speak about their women, they have a lot of respect for their women. And I think that people, especially women from other communities, are not realizing the amount of like it's not black women have gotten it out of the mud. It's more like black women have built ourselves up brick by brick. Like every single thing in my apartment right now that I own, I paid for it. Like I worked for it and I paid for it. Or it was like gifted, but not from a man, from like my mother or like a family member or like my insurance, something like that. So it's mine. And like I work for my living. So like I honestly feel like every time I upload to this channel, I kind of like stand on this idea that I'm like self-made. I can say that I'm self-made because like I'm paying for my internet. I paid for this equipment. I set it up. I got it in here. I built this couch. You know what I mean? Like I did this shit. Nobody did it for me. And so it's like no shade to the women who are like, being somebody's wife, but I'm also saying like there's nothing free. So the women who are doing domestic labor at home for their husbands as opposed to their husbands hiring a maid or a servant to do the labor, they're working too. Everybody's working. Those women are eventually going to turn into mothers and they're going to do the work of motherhood, which is work. Nothing is free. Like everyone is working to make this system run. I do think that the American economy right now though is taking a large hit, and it has been for a while because so many black women have like stepped out of the way of male violence by providing their own literal security through like apartments or homes or female friendships, whatever, to like distance themselves from men, specifically black men. Um, and so now those men don't have any more women. Um, like some those men are going to other communities, but they're fighting with the men who are already in the other communities for those women. Like there aren't an unlimited number of unoccupied available women. Period. We are not even talking about pretty women, in shape women. You cannot have chips. Women who have a lot of pedigree. So we can actually finish this conversation with a bit more about the emigrants of the world. Um, a lot of women, especially those from the developing world, have never worked. Their mothers have never worked. This idea of like working and earning money, having a wage, even a minimum wage, and contributing to the household bills or being the main sole provider in a household is like an entirely new concept for these women. But that's not the same thing that Emma Gerd is doing. Emma Gerd participated in assortative mating where she married someone extremely wealthy. Emma Gerd is also pretty, like she's pretty, so she has pretty privilege. She's also smart, so she has so it's like literally the assortative mating pedigree sort of situation of it all. And she built companies, so she's actually like very wealthy. She is the bag. She got the bag. The girlies who are posting videos about matcha and shit aren't that. I'm not saying that none of them will be that. I do think that some of them are going to build brands that might earn something in the future, but this is not the same thing. Like a lot of women are using the boss babe terminology to simply be like they have a job. A job. Like having navigating the corporate ladder the way that Emma did, or building, $1 million, $100 million companies is not the same thing as like working part-time at McDonald's. You see what I'm saying? Also, working part-time at McDonald's is not the same thing as being the primary breadwinner for your household. Like if you work at McDonald's but you're like paying your rent, paying your car note, paying your insurance, paying all of your bills working at McDonald's, I think that yes, you are boss babying. But I think that that's not even the case. We're talking about a lot of people having conversations about boss babying when they work, 15 hours a week at Starbucks and that is the only job that they've had, and the little money that they have, they're using it to like go out to the bar on the weekend. Like this is what most people are doing when they're living at home and their parents are footing the bill for their lives, or they have 5 or 6 roommates. Shit like that. That's another reason why I created this channel when I did. Wanted to like really have our feet in the sand and really like dig a hole in real early. So it was like I didn't make it clear where I was very explicit about how much things cost until you can go back and watch a couple of the videos I did where a few of my friends at the time were living in the $10,000 apartments in San Francisco. I wanted to make it clear like we make a lot more money than you. Not like a little bit, like a lot. And the other like boss girls, boss babes weren't even close because you just make more money if you're in tech and you live in Silicon Valley by like a lot, a long shot. Now, some of you didn't pick that up. Some of you have, and you've asked questions about it. Hopefully, I've answered your questions by now. If you're new here, maybe go back and understand who you're talking to. But I do think, I hope that, a lot of people at this point can read through the bullshit, because I mean, the receipts are, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, I think a lot of people are really good at marketing, and the marketing girlies have truly made a name for themselves, and they have gotten the bag. And that's great. But getting the bag and getting to the truth are two different things. You can get the bag with the bullshit of lies in the same way that they have. They have been extremely successful with their like lies and bullshit, and they've gotten very, very far. And that's, I mean, I'm not mad at that. Like, I'm not a hater, but also, like, what reality is, just because you tell the story a different way doesn't change the facts. And just because you personally don't understand the facts, that also doesn't change the facts. Like, everyone needs to do whatever they need to do to get on board with understanding whatever story it is that they're trying to understand. Like, if you're here, this story has been going on for a while. This, like, we're on like chapter 300. What are there, like, there's like 2,500 videos on this channel, something like, there's a lot. This is not a new situation, right? So we've been here for a while, continuing the story is, it just keeps going. We're on Finstagram account number 10 at this point. Some of you have caught on and joined Finstagram at number 8. But when I create Finstagrams, the entire point is I keep them a year behind, sometimes 2 years, because I like to first I open them. They're just open accounts with things I feel safe sharing, and once I get to a point where I feel like I've caught in too many stalkers, I'm getting a little bit too much attention, I block it and I turn it into a Finstagram account. Who's ever following, that's it. There's just no new followers there. And I continue to post on a private account, and I do that. I continue that for a year and a half, and then once I move somewhere else, I'll start again. A new profile. It will be open to the public for a while until I feel like it's getting unsafe, and then it will close again. Anyway, those are pretty much all the thoughts I had and that I wanted to share tonight. But I did want to get those out because it just felt like, yeah, man, we're kind of missing some critical points of this conversation, and I wanted to chime in.